else? We can start. My name is Bill Jack. I'm from William Mitchell College of Law in beautiful but rainy St. Paul, Minnesota. And I'm at the Warren E. Burger Law Library. And what I want to work with today and show you is how we manage a series of web pages, internet legal resources that contain approximately 2,000 websites. And we do it on something that makes a shoestring budget look extravagant. I mean, we do this for like about under $25 and using only a couple of hours a week. So before we get there, we have a couple of questions to ask. One is, why present links on our website, on any law school's website, or why particularly on a law library's website? A lot of reasons. First of all, we have to. It's our job. It's our job to help students. It's our job to help faculty. It's our job to help people in the community. I don't know about you, but we're a federal depository library, so we are open to the public, and it is our mission and job and duty, if you will, to serve these people. And you kind of, I think, abrogate your duties if you just simply send students to FindLaw or Lexis One or Cornell, all three of which are truly excellent sites, there's no doubt about it, but there's a little bit of interfacing there, if you pardon a bad verb or participle. There's a little bit of interfacing that's required during the research interview, as we call it, for instance, where you get a sense of what the student needs, and you already may have more particular information applicable to that student that will guide you to steer him somewhere where otherwise he wouldn't or she wouldn't go, or where Cornell wouldn't send them, for instance, or well, FindLaw wouldn't send them. And you can't go to Google either, or you can't rely exclusively on Google, although I find myself relying on Google way too many times every day. It may put some of us librarians out of business, I don't know. But as I put up on the slide, it's like telling them to go to Google or telling them to go to FindLaw or Lexis One or Cornell is kind of like saying to them, yeah, the information you have is available in a book, and the book is somewhere in the world, but we don't know where. Because, in fact, the web is the world's largest library. Billions and billions of pages now. But the problem is it has no order, as would a regular library. There are no catalog numbers. KF isn't law. KFI isn't Illinois. KFM isn't Minnesota. And even worse, I think, and more dangerous in its implications, is there are no criteria for what appears on the web. It seems sometimes that for every good piece of information out there, there may be 20 or 30 pieces that have absolutely bad information. By bad, I mean either slanted or prejudiced or out of date or not current or ill-informed or misinformed, right? No criteria whatsoever. So why do we do it? Well, we have to do it for the students and the professors and the general legal community, because the web is bigger now than it ever was, and getting bigger and growing exponentially. The invisible web is even bigger, and that's the part of the web that's harder to find, harder for, let's say, less sophisticated or less experienced legal researchers to find. I'm talking about the databases that don't appear in a search when you go to Google. And hey, the invisible web took a big hit in its invisibility when Google figured out how to search PDF documents. So now, and so many government documents are in PDF format, right? Hooray, 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 we can now get to PDF documents easily just by using a general and highly sophisticated Google search engine. Great. But guess what? Google only indexes the first 120 words of a PDF document. And some of these massive government documents in PDF format are thousands of words long, and maybe your particular search terms are located at word 121 and 122. If you have my luck, that's probably where they are. So even though the invisible web is kind of getting cracked, it's still a big issue when you're looking for things on the web. And there are more and more active server pages out there, CGI bin, ASP, dynamic web pages. Wonderful stuff. Many government and public sites rely on them now, more and more. Newspapers have always, it seemed, relied on them. But what that means is when you perform a general search, you can't find them, right? If you search for something that's in this morning's headlines, you probably won't pick up the article on the front page of the Chicago newspaper or the St. Louis, Missouri newspaper. It won't show up on a search engine because, first of all, it hasn't been there long enough, of course, but also because it's not actually a static HTML page that we're looking at. It's something dynamic. What we're really looking at when we look at the front page of most newspapers online is a spin out from a database, right? What you did when you hit the Chicago Tribune newspaper button is that you actually queried their database and said, give me all articles that are marked today's date, front page, right? Why do we do it? There are more and more legal resources on the web today. And of course, the web is bigger, and the invisible web is bigger. But it seems to me that the amount of good legal resources on the web is increasing, I hope, or maybe I'm an optimist, that good legal stuff is increasing at a greater rate than is the bad stuff. And I am referring to statutory things, for instance. All the federal stuff is online. Only a few states, I think Pennsylvania is partially online. There are disputes there with the legal publishers or whatever. But I think, I don't want to say virtually all, and I don't want to say all, but nearly all state statutes are online. And most of them are somewhere in an official format. They're on a state site, right? Regulatory stuff, I think, growing exponentially. You can find, you know, the Code of Federal Regulations, you can find agency rules and regs, you can find state rules and regs, as well as the registers, you know, the daily registers where the rules come out and are proposed and promulgated and everything. That's all on the web. You don't have to use Lexis or West anymore. In fact, the stuff shows up sometimes almost instantaneously. Case law, appellate courts, no problem. U.S. Supreme Court, all cases are available in several places. Federal Circuit Court of Appeals, no problem. State appellate courts, whether they're mid-level or whether they're Supreme, almost invariably no problem. Even district court stuff is now appearing online, primarily in the federal sphere, but also in the state spheres. You can find some courts of first instance opinions, if you will. Secondary legal materials, so much now on the web that wasn't there just a few years ago. And tutorials and pathfinders. As a librarian, why not be a parasite and live off the work of other librarians and other researchers? There's more and more of this on the web. And I'm not just talking about the big meta sites like Cornell. I'm talking about Georgetown's guides to finding international law. What is it? Pace University's guides on environmental law. They're just some great things. So we need to do it. And why else do we need to do it? Because students expect to use the web. The younger and younger they are, the more and more they are in tune with computers. They've been doing eBay for many years. They've been getting their email off a web-based program. They've been ordering things offline. They've been plagiarizing their high school newspapers offline, maybe. Oh, let's hope not. I mean, their high school assignments. But they're used to using the web. Secondly, even though they get Lexis and West, this is a big issue, of course, they get Lexis and West for free almost always in law school. They don't get to use it when they get out of law school. I came into academia from Dorsey and Whitney, which is the biggest law firm in Minnesota, and believe me, you needed like 2 memos from 2 senior partners before you could get into Lexis. And if you ran up something more than a $200 bill in West, which means if you did more than log in, right, you had to account for it and prove, you know, why this was the most cost-effective way to do your research. And we as educators have to teach people the alternatives to Lexis and West. Mitchell is a very hands-on school, and many of our students end up in sole practice or working in small law firms or in non-law firm environments. They need to know the more cost-effective ways to research. But you know, they might be on the web, and they might think they know how to use the web, but they don't. I've been on the web since '95. I don't know how to use the web. You learn and learn and learn more and more every time you use it. They need to learn, I think, highly importantly, when to use the web. And that's our job as librarians. I mean, the web is a viable, no doubt about it anymore, it's a viable legal research tool. Sometimes it's the absolutely best tool, and sometimes you wonder why you even bothered, right? You can waste hours on the web and not even come close to finding something you were looking for. The truth never seems to be in between. It's either the best or the worst. Okay? And everything we've said about students also applies to faculty, it applies to attorneys, and it applies to pro se patrons, people who walk in off the street, have a legal issue, can't afford an attorney or whatever. What's in it for us? It serves our users. It helps us do our jobs. We feel better. We're doing what we're supposed to. We're leading people towards good legal information. Okay? It enhances the value of our website. I mean the college's or the university's website, and I mean as well as the library's website, right? And it serves as a marketing tool for the institution. And we librarians don't like to talk about marketing so much, but I think we're learning that we do have to brand ourselves. We have to be visible. We have to be out there. And then when it comes time for funding, we may be at the trough, at least at the end of it a little bit. It can serve as a marketing tool for the library inside as well as outside of the institution. And think of inside for a moment. I know at Mitchell there's a big challenge, keeping a good rapport between the technology people and the library people and the faculty. Well, a great way to do it is to have a librarian tracking sites, discovering a new good site, and sending an email to a faculty member, an IP attorney, for instance, who says, wow, I really appreciate you sending me that site. Let's do this on our web. Well, you have really marketed the web there. And I know marketing is a business term and I hate it, but let's look at it this way positively. You have enhanced greatly the value and applicability of your library website as well as of your entire library and of your staff people, your librarians, by reinforcing that link with one faculty member. Do that several times a week and it's great. Also enhances the link with the legal community. We don't have to talk about that. We already talked about pro se patents, alumni, attorneys out there in the local area. What I also like about it is it can be used as a teaching tool. We use our series of web pages that we've created at Mitchell right in classes. We put them in a format where the students can see the HTML, the URL, so they know where to go. They can type it in or they can copy and paste it or whatever. It's also a great point of need tool. When a hyperventilating student comes up and says, I need section 461.24 of the Code of Federal Regulations, and I can't remember my Lexis password. You can say, you don't need your Lexis password. You can get it for free off the web. Here, let me show you. And you steer them to your web pages, and they have it. But when you print out things for students or for patrons, I do recommend that you always make the URL visible. You can do things in formats where you just click on the name and you're there. Well, that's not quite as helpful in print because you're just looking at the name, and when it's in paper form, you can't pound on it and jump on the web. You've lost the electronic link. Emailing, great way. Someone has a question. We're getting more and more into virtual reference, email reference requests. Copy and paste something off your website and send it to them. Okay. But this is not so easy. There are challenges. One is providing useful content. What is useful content? Well, for one thing, it's comprehensive. It's going to contain things that your users are going to want or need, okay? But it also has to be selective. It has to be selective because there's so much stuff out there, and it has to be selective because there's so much bad stuff out there, okay? And the other challenge, the one that I'm most interested in, is not just providing the content, but ordering the content in a way that's accessible to the users. It has to be intuitive. Someone has to be able to look at your little web page or set up web pages and say, I need federal statutes. Okay, let's see. You've got federal materials here. You've got statutes here. There's the United States Code there. Thank you very much. But the problem is no two people agree on what's intuitive. And so that means you have to increase the number of links, first of all, and then you have to increase the placement of the links. And this is just an example that came up with me last week at Mitchell. We have a whole separate thing for court rules. Very nice page, court rules, federal, state. We link to the llrx.com meta site that is an easy access to all federal and state court rules, okay? We have another section over here for ethics and professional responsibility. And in there we have a whole Minnesota section because that's the state where the law school is located. And we have links, of course, to the Minnesota Rules of Professional Responsibility. And a faculty member very kindly called, or emailed actually, and said, hey, you should put the rules of professional responsibility under court rules. And I thought, well, of course, that's logical. It didn't occur to me. When I'm looking for ethics things, I'm going to look under ethics. But this professor, when he's looking for rules, he looks under rules. So you see the issue, my little web of links has now become a little bit more complicated because I have that same link in two different places, and if it changes, I've got to remember everywhere where I put it so that one page or many pages are not out of date. Not so easy. The other challenges, I believe, and many of us believe, annotate, and then when you're done with that, annotate. And the reason is you can't just give people a bunch of sites. You have to tell them in some respects, why they want to go to, but in other respects, too, you want to tell them what they're not going to find there, or you may have some disappointed users, right? We, for instance, have 3 links. And they're in various places on our little research web, but we have 3 separate links to the Code of Federal Regulations. And we think that each of those links is absolutely essential. They all deserve to be there. They're all the same base materials, right? But each site offers something different, and we try to tell the users as succinctly as possible why they should use this one. Oh, and I say I spelled do wrong. Well, and it didn't show up in my spell check. Okay, but we do need the 3 links to the CFR. We have the official one at GPO Access. Okay, that is the official text. You can rely on that one as much as you can rely on anything you find in a book. But as you know, it's no more up to date than is the print Code of Federal Regulations, meaning you have to go through those books that law students love called the LSAs, the list of sections effective. And they're not cumulative, so you've got to go through this month and that month and that month and that month. It's not fun in print, but it's a heck of a lot less fun on the web, too. But it still is the official text. Okay? And then there's they still call it new, but there's a new beta site, GPO Access. It's called the eCFR, or the electronic CFR. It is up to date through yesterday. It's wonderful. Forget about the LSAs. The nightmare is over. You can now get a current version of the Code of Federal Regulations for free on the web. And it's at a reliable site. It's at the government GPO site. Now, there's a little bit of haggling there because it isn't official text, but you can always go back and compare it if you want. It's pretty darn reliable. And then, of course, we have Cornell's site. We link to Cornell all the time because Cornell adds value to their CFR collection. There's great searching there. There's great browsing capability that you don't have if you go to GPO Access, although browsing there is now present and improving all the time. You can do lots of things. So we like to give them all 3 links. The other challenge I already mentioned is tracking the placement of those links. Where are they? Users expect them to be in certain places. If it's not there, they'll give up on you and they won't come back. Negative reinforcement. The other challenge, 3 of them, updating, updating, and updating. There are always new resources coming online, and there are also old reliables that seem to be getting bought up and shut down all the time. This appears to happen most frequently in the corporate world, right? Corporate and securities. I mean, the 10K Wizard used to be the best way to get into the Edgar SEC database and get this great company information. It died. Free Edgar is bought out. So what happens is the site may still be there, but there's no reason to go there anymore. If you go to Free Edgar, there's nothing there except for a login to get to pay a lot of money, Edgar. Oh, I can't remember the name of the company that bought them out. And you've got to keep on top of all of that. Okay? Another challenge, this is a big one, checking the status of the links. Okay? There are automated ways to do this. How many of you here use Front Page on your web? Yeah. Have you used the web checking feature of Front Page? Don't. Although if it's the only thing you have, use it. It always errs on the side of caution, and we'll get like 4, 5, sometimes 600 bad link reports every time we run the report. And 90% of those are actually good. I don't know why. And after a while, you get to know the good ones, and so you really don't go there and check. You know that GPO is still there. They haven't shut down. You might go there and check and make sure their servers are working today, and it probably is, and maybe it's a timeout feature. You can't get in and tweak the settings in Front Page to give it longer timeouts or anything, but it does a overly cautious and therefore highly unhelpful job of checking links. There's a free piece of software out there that I use, and it's called Xenu, X-E-N-U. If you just do a search on the web, if you go to Google and you search and download Xenu, you'll get to cnet.com or pcworld.com. You'll be able to download that. It does a real good job. It tells you what pages the broken link appear on your website, which is helpful, right? Because what if my Minnesota Rules of Professional Responsibility page goes down on me? Of course, I'll go into ethics and change it. But if I use Xenu will remind me that you also put this link over here on your court rules page, so you better change it over there too. And it's free. It's wonderful, and it's free. There's a whole another issue of checking the status of links, and those are the links that are still there, but they're no good anymore. I mentioned Free Edgar and the 10K Wizard. Other instances, places shut down, they lose their funding, and they have a nice dummy page up there saying, thank you for your patronage, we are gone, right? Well, the status, the automatic link checkers say, oh, there's a page there, it pings the page, there's a page, everything is fine. And you leave it on your website, and the dean or whoever needs to get to that site, and he goes there, and there's nothing there. You know, thank you very much, we're closed. So you can keep track of things manually by doing it yourself if you have the time. I try to do as much of that as I can. Whenever I'm on the web, I always make a note of when I see a bad link or a changed link or a redirected link. Some places assign students, you know, library work study students to do it. Another great way and highly effective way is feedback buttons. Put them all over your place, all over your pages. If someone notices a bad link or wants to suggest a new link, creates a nice collaborative atmosphere between creator of website and users. It can be very effective. Okay, final question before we do it. Where do we find the good links? Sometimes we steal them. Okay? Sometimes we find them from our own research, right? We get a project, we do it, and we think, you know, this is really helpful. This eCFR site. I mean, I remember about 3 years ago, the first time I found that site. I don't like the list of statutes, list of sections affected either. And I thought, this is wonderful, you know, this is up to date. So I'll make a note of it, right? So we get good links from our own research. We get it from the research of our colleagues. We certainly all talk to one another at Mitchell. I'm sure you talk with your colleagues in your college. You can go to the meta sites, which is kind of cheating. But an intellectual property lawyer came up to me at Mitchell and he says, you know, I want one page that has a link to every patent and trademark office in the world. And he expected me, I guess, to fall over or weep or ask for a raise on the spot or something. And I didn't tell him, but it only took me about 5 minutes. Because I just hunted around and I found a meta site, you know, one of those portal sites that lists, you know, patent offices around the world. And I went through their list and I added them to my bibliography, and then I went to another page that does the same thing, and there were some differences, and some links appeared on number 2 that didn't appear on number 1, and sometimes the link on number 1 worked, but the link on number 2 didn't. But I had it, and it was so easy. I don't want to tell that professor how easy it was. When you're going to meta sites, though, Cornell, no problem there, but Final or some of these portal sites that organize links for you, watch for copyright issues, and sometimes they don't like deep linking. You know what I mean by deep linking, right? If it's a commercial site and you're zooming right in through 10 levels of pages down to the one specific page you want, they're not happy because you're missing all the pop-up ads the user should be getting as you're going down there, right? Very upset about that. Get them from users, feedback buttons, great resource. I found this good site, it's better than the one you have, so we change it, okay? I subscribe to Law Live. There are other news groups out there. I get more good links off Law Live, the listserv, right? One librarian writes in panic, I need, you know, a current edition of the Code of Federal Regulations. Where can I get it? And someone else responds and says, oh, here's the link, go to the eCFR. And so I read the message and I say, oh, I'm going to add it to my bibliography, and people are going to think I am really intelligent because I know all this stuff. But for the most part, I'm just using other information. I'm benefiting from the research that other people have done. You can also get them from all those wonderful email updates. LLRX, Law Librarians Resource Exchange, one of my favorite sites on the web. The Virtual Chase is another one. They all have email updates. The Virtual Acquisition Shelf, at least so far, is still offering a free email update. I don't know how long that will continue. Even print materials, you know, those things that get routed and appear on paper, they offer wonderful links. I just put down the legal information alert. I mean, I think I look at dozens of these every week. And Robert Ambrogi, I look for the people sometimes more even than the content, but Robert Ambrogi is a good one, for instance, on securities, and now he's branched out a lot. But you can get lots of good links from print materials. The only disadvantage is you have to type in the URL, right? And you get them from blogs. I don't like that word, but it's becoming more and more common on the web now. Those web blogs that various people are keeping up, and Gary Price is doing it at Freepart, is one of them that I use. Okay, what tools do we need? How do we do all this? It's daunting, okay? It's not daunting if we have lots of money and we have lots of technical expertise and we have lots of help. Well, all three of the above, right? We just tell the people in IS or IT or whatever you call them, We want dynamic web pages, we want server-side software, we want a database program, you know, Microsoft this and Microsoft that and Dreamweaver that and Perl scripts, and everybody's happy 2 years later when it's finally done. But what happens if we don't have the money or the expertise or even the time or the talent or whatever? Is there a cheaper way? Yes. Use freeware or shareware. Everything we've talked about today can be done for almost no money. Use a web page creator if you don't have front page. There are many of them out there. The sites are cnet.com, you know, C-N-E-T, or pcworld.com, or I can't remember I think it's zdnet.com now, is Ziff Davis or the PC Magazine people. Or just go to your Google and type in download web page creator or download HTML software program and put in the word free in there. And I guarantee you'll get lots and lots of hits, okay? If your server resides off-site, you'll need an FTP program to pump those pages that you've created. Oh, and by the way, you know, you don't even need a web page creator anymore. If you have Microsoft Word, the more current editions, go down under Save, under File to Save as web page, and you got it. You're there, okay? But you need a program that manages these links, and this is the biggest challenge that I've found. And this is the little workaround, if you will. It may look a little bit jury-rigged, but you know what? It works fine for me. And until I get my ASPs and my server-side software and my dynamic pages, I'm going to stick with this. And I will show you how it works. Okay. Powermarks is a little program. You can download it from Kaylon Technologies, Kaylon.com. They're out of Pennsylvania. You can read about it. It costs $24.95. I think you get a 90-day visit or at least a 30-day free trial. It's a tiny program. I think the exe file, the whole program itself is like about 200K. And the data files you create are enormously tiny. Like I said, I think we'll check when we go into mine, but I have like 2,000 links on there, and I can put it on a floppy disk. I think it's only about, I think when I did it most recently, it was like 386K for 2,000 annotated links. Anybody interested? I'm not a salesman for Kaylon, by the way. I don't know who they are. But I started using this in 1995 when I had issues at work and home between bookmarks and favorites and being on a Mac computer or being on a PC computer. You know, how could I track all of these? Wait, I can't get to this site because my favorite is over here on this computer and now I'm over here. Well, this is just actually what it is a bookmark managing program, but you can use or exploit the import and export file options to do it. And let me show you what I mean. Now, I launched Powermarks. I'm going to unlaunch it. I'm going to relaunch it. There it is. Here is my file. I have 2,442 links in there, some of which appear on web pages at Mitchell and some of which don't. Because maybe there's a link that someone needs only once every 3 months and it's only one person. Do you want to add that to your website and make the website that much bigger? You know, possibly not, but you want to keep the link, but yet not put it on your pages. How do you get the links from this database, this little dinky program, to the web? So easy. Let's go to the web. Let's say that I want to add a page on Illinois, because I am in Illinois. And I don't like typing in URL, so I'm going to go to Google. And shame on me, but I'm going to cannibalize my favorite site. But I don't think they mind. It's Cornell. Okay? I'm at Cornell's Legal Information Institute. Okay? Constitutions and codes. Let's go to state constitutions and codes. Let's go to Illinois. Look at that. Let's go to the Illinois Constitution. Okay? There it is. Wonderful. It's HTML format, which I like, by the way. Okay, I want to add that to my bibliography, if you will. Powermarks, you see the little, not on my mouse, oh there. You see it residing in the system tray right down there on the corner, right? Okay? All I have to do anytime I'm at a page that I want to add to my database is just right-click. Add Powermark. Illinois Constitution. I like the title. I'll keep it. It captured the URL. Okay? Great. I don't have to type that in. Description and notes. I can annotate it whatever I want. HTML format. Nice, 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 nice. Okay? But here's the little tricky thing that I do. I want to tag this so it will appear on my pages when I export that are going to concern Illinois sites. Easy. I'm going to call it Illinois. Okay? That's my keyword. And this may not be entirely clear to you yet why I did that, but let's go back to Cornell, Illinois statutes. Okay? Let me go back to Powermarks. Add a Powermark. Illinois compiled statutes. I like the title. You see I have the option of changing it if I want. And I'm going to change the keywords. Okay? A description and notes. This is where I annotate it. I can say nice statutes, HTML format, chapters in separate pages. Okay? Fine. Note disclaimer. And spell disclaimer right. Note disclaimer. Okay? Because there is one there. And it's always good to read those because not the official text. Don't rely on this. It's not any good. But then you wonder, well, why did they put it there? But, you know, they have a little agreement with their official publisher, I am sure. And they also don't want too much liability. Okay, so we added another one. Pending bills and other legislation. Illinois. Okay? You see what I'm doing? I'm compiling a list now of things that I'm adding to Powermarks. There it is, Illinois 92nd General Assembly legislation table of contents. Let's leave that, and let's leave Illinois as our keyword there, okay? And just a note, check yearly to ensure link is still working. This would be like a note to myself. And the reason I put that in there, did you see the date in the URL up there? It's the 92nd legislation, so you put this on your website. Maybe next year is 93 and this link isn't going to work or whatever, but you got the picture. Okay. Going back to Cornell, what should we do? Let's add, well, we got to have Illinois Supreme Court, right? Okay. Add Powermark. Illinois Court Opinions. This is where you really need to annotate, and I'm not going to spend the time in front of you to do this, but I definitely want to look at this site. I see it goes back to 96, and I want to check a whole bunch of other things and see how they're searchable. Can you search by party name? Can you search by docket number? Are unpublished opinions included? Those are all things that you want to tell your users up front, so maybe they don't have to go there. And did I add my Illinois to it? Yes, I did. Okay. Well, I think you're kind of getting the idea. Let's do one more, and let's do, the administrative code membership required. We won't do that one. But let's do the judiciary background, Illinois government, okay? It's there. I hope I spelled Illinois right. I might have added too many L's. See, if you're already on the site, you just hit add Powermark, and what you added previously comes back up. Okay? And let's say that, wait, we want to add something else to our Illinois page. So I'm going to go to Google. Is there a state chamber of commerce, I wonder? Or tourism? Okay, I'm going to search Google. Did I mean, yes, I did mean bureau. You should have read my H as a U. And there it is, Illinois tourism. Enjoyillinois.com. Well, that's right, a corporate site and not an official site. But here's Choose Chicago, and it's chicago.org. So, thank you. I guess I won't visit Chicago. Well, here's Exploring Chicago. There we go. Let's add that. It's pretty fast, right? Exploring Chicago. I can change the title if I don't want to use that one. Okay. A great site for visiting the windy, I think it's still called the Windy City, isn't it? Okay, we're done. Okay, we just added, what, 6 sites or so? Now watch. I'm going to restore the Powermarks. Okay. I have 2 searching capabilities up here. If I click on this little boxy, I will be finding every instance where the word Illinois appears anywhere in my database. But if I use the keyword search, we're just picking up the ones where I put in the keywords. And why do I use a keyword search? Because sometimes maybe I want to filter these out. Okay? Now, it doesn't seem to make much sense to you, but perhaps, but watch this. If I type in ethics, wow, I get 122 hits, right? That's a lot of sites. To give someone those sites is going to be not so helpful. They're going to have to sift through the sites to find the very ones that they need. But I have divided these sites out into specific subcategories, and the way I can keep them separate is I add unreal words to the keywords. Kind of intuitive for me, but for no one else, and no one else sees them, so who cares? Ethics Gen, okay? Ethics General. So these are general sites for ethics now. Or try, so see what I mean? Let's do Ethics Gen on keyword search, and see, there are my 22 links that are going to appear on my page for general ethics, okay? Since I live in the great state of Minnesota with a wonderful governor, not around for long, I'll do Ethics Min. You see what I've done? I've used a word that does not appear in the normal universe of linguistics, right? And so that way I'm just tying in all of my Minnesota dealies. So let's go back to our Illinois one then. And I'm doing a keyword search now. We could add others. See, I already had some Illinois links in there. Illinois Rules of Professional Conduct. We can do that one. Okay, watch. I've selected them all. I'm going under File. I'm exporting. Okay. I don't want to export them in the format of this program unless I'm sending it to you or something. Let's do it in Netscape bookmark format. And let's put it on my desktop. And by the way, this remembers where you were last time, even if you turn off your computer, so that's kind of nice. And let's call it Illinois, should we? We did. Illinois. Save. Okay. Now let's go to my desktop. Did I do that, by the way? Oh, and I got to do selected. See, that's a little tricky thing. I just want my selected links to be explored. So, there. Export. And I don't want HTML format. I want Netscape book format. I want selected links, and I want them on the desktop as, let's call them Illinois, huh? Okay, we're all set. Okay, now let's go to the desktop. There it is. It's an HTML document. Oh, it didn't get my annotations. But we can change that. When you make a mistake, it's so good making mistakes because they're so easy to correct. Watch. I'll just go back, do an export, options this time. Okay. I don't want keywords. Those are my little idiosyncratic things, but I do want my descriptions, right? And I have options of including all of these things or not including these things. We're not going to include all of it. We're just going to have, it's going to look very professional. It's going to be the URL, and it's going to be the description, okay? So now watch. We're going to replace that file? Yes. Now we're going to go to the file, and we're going to hit refresh. There it is. You just created a page. Now you can copy and paste that page right into Microsoft Word and save it as a web page, and then you can link off it. But let me show you something else that I prefer to do. This is nice. You can email this to someone. You know, the links will be hot. But to print it out is not very helpful because I don't know what the link is for Exploring Chicago. When I print that out, it's not much help, right? So let's go back to Powermarks, and let's tell Powermarks to do something different this time. I'm selecting those links. I'm exporting those links. I'm not going to do Netscape bookmark format, but I'm going to do formatted for printing. Okay? I'm going to overwrite that file. And then I'm going back to that file, not to that one. I'm going back to this one, and I'm going to hit refresh. Okay? A good thing happened and a bad thing happened. Okay? The good thing is that I now see the URL, and the format isn't bad. And of course, once you get it into Word or front page, you can change the font, you can change the size, you can change anything. But what I don't like about it is everyone starts with description : but if you're in Word or whatever, well, let's show you. You just do a general edit and you get rid of it. So let me go to my Microsoft Word. There. And let's call this is going to be my home page. Okay? CALI links. And you can do just endless formatting in Word, right? Oh, we got to make it bold. Maybe make that look a lot better. Okay, and let's look down here then. We'll do links to Illinois legal sites. Okay, Control K. Okay, browse for file. I mean, literally what I'm doing now is I'm just creating a little web page on my desktop or whatever. I'm going to go to my desktop. And there's my Illinois, okay? Save this as a web page. Save it on the desktop. Beautiful page, nicely formatted. Not. And oh, here it is, okay. Now, that got called up in Word. Did I save it as a web page? I didn't. Oh, shame on me. Okay. There we are, CALI links. It's now in HTML format. There it is. And there it is. Okay? That's all there is to it. If I want to edit that page, I'll go back into Word. And let's go to the desktop. And let's go to Illinois. Okay? And I'll put, I seem to want to put an extra L in Illinois, and I don't know why. Okay? I want to make that nice and big. I do, I'm an old-fashioned person. I do like Times Roman, so I'm going to leave it in Times Roman. I'm going to center it. You can copy and paste a graphic in here, but one thing you definitely want to do is get rid of the description, right? So I think it is Control. I know it works on front page. I'm not sure if it works. Yes, it does. Replace. So description, : skip, replace with nothing. Okay? I got rid of that irritating description : that appeared on the top of every link. So I'm done. And you notice I made a little mistake here because I'm in front of people, and I always make mistakes when I'm in front of people, but I never make mistakes when I'm working. I included my keywords in this page, and I had that option when I exported the keywords are my personal tool that I use, and I don't include those on the pages. So you get the idea. Now, you can do that endless times. The nice thing is, you can add, you can see on some of these, I've taken one link and I can have it appearing on 20, 30, endless number of pages. And when it changes, I get to know where it is. And how do you find out about it? Well, Powermarks has a status checking schedule, or you can force, they keep moving it on me, but you can also force a status check somewhere. There it is, see? But if you click that, it will check your links for you, and it will tell you which ones have changed, which ones are slow, which ones don't work. So that's basically it. That's how we do it. And just to show you very quickly what it looks like, I hesitate to show you what it looks like because Mitchell's entire website is being redesigned. I don't like this font. I don't like the ragged right edge, but they hired consultants now. They're coming in and they're doing a good job. And our pages are controlled by cascading style sheets. If you're familiar with front page, what that means literally is you have no control over what they look like. Someone else does. Okay. And we don't like the font. It's okay. But anyway, this is the web of links that we have created for our people. Okay. And the biggest challenge, or one of the biggest challenges, seems to be organization. But we've created little subsets, if you will. If you go into statutes and ordinances, we have federal, we have Minnesota because they're more interested in that, and then we have other states where we put things like Cornell and fine law, and then we've got tribal constitutions and codes, and then we have municipal codes and ordinances, things like that. For practice areas, we found out that the best thing to do is to divide things up. Of course, each area will be different, but we like to give associations their own subcategory. Administrative and regulatory, and we will deep link to pertinent sections of state or federal regulations. We'll give them case law. We'll give them practice aids, which is just like things that don't seem to go anywhere else. And like in there, I think we have one for GuideStar, the charitable universe, things like that, getting information on nonprofits, the multi-state tax commission, things like that. And what's so nice about using Powermarks is we don't have to anguish and pull out our hair. As you notice, I don't have much hair. So I don't want to be pulling on my hair about should we put this link here or should we put it here. That always used to be the issue. And now the issue is we'll put it in both places and we're done with it. So that's it. I'll be happy to entertain any questions if you have any. Thank you for your attention. Yes? I'm sorry? Yes, I could, yeah. What I would do is I just go into Xsport, and I would, the format here really isn't important, see, and well, I guess we'd want name, we definitely want name, but then see, plug out description and notes. I don't want you to see my keywords, though. That's sort of like, they're embarrassing. I'm overwriting Illinois, that's all right, I won't rename it, right? File create failed, well, maybe I couldn't, but it should have. Let's try it again. I'll just do it right to the desktop. That could be. Good point. So let us change the name to keywords. And let's make sure our options. So, well, first of all, we want all and not selected. That I don't like about it. You always have to watch that button. Sometimes you think you're creating a page with 4 links on it, and there are 2,240 that somehow appear on your web page, and you do not look very intelligent or savvy when that happens. And okay, remembered everything there. Okay, so let's try it now. Did it work? Let's see. Export, format for printing, keyword. Okay, it worked. It's there. Now let's go back to the desktop. And where's KW? KW is here. There it is. Okay. So I have the, and I could have, I guess I can't get rid of the title of the URL. Those are sort of mandatory. But I have the title, URL, and keyword. And that's kind of a good thing to do perhaps once in a while. But the keywords are sort of, what this really is, you see, this is a manual dynamic database is all it is. We are emulating what the big boys and girls do with the expensive software. We are spitting out links in various places at random, at will, wherever we feel like it. And we're doing it for $24.99. Yes? No. I back it up all over the place, but it's only one file, and it's so easy to muck up that I have one person who works with me on it who understands it. But because it's such a raw program, there aren't a lot of controls in it, and you can very easily just hose the whole thing, so yeah, and the other danger is we're using the program for something it was really not designed for. It's a bookmark tracking program. So every once in a while you get the option to synchronize your own favorites list. Well, you don't want to do that because it's going to corrupt your research database and include your Yahoo Mail, your Hotmail, your newspaper links, your stock portfolio link. Any other questions?